We all have intuitive abilities.
Uh-huh.
We have this additional sense that we're born with, but we're just not raised in a society that gives us a lot of permission to use it.
Welcome, everybody, to Born Broke with Mike Hoferth. And today we have a very special guest, Jusstine K. Take it away, Mike.
Jusstine, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
We're super excited to have you and hear your story.
Okay.
And I just want to start off by telling the viewers who you are, if that's
Sure.
okay.
Please do.
So Jusstine, you can find her at psychicgirl.com, right?
Yep.
She's been featured, I'm going to say featured, had many articles in People Magazine, Hollywood Reporter, Men's Health, Glamour. I could go on and on and on and on.
Me.
Oh, yeah. And also, you've had some cool appearances that I saw on your website as well.
Yeah.
So thanks for being here.
I'm excited to be here.
So I guess to start us off, do we just want to jump in?
Sure,
How does someone become a psychic?
Yeah, well, it's I didn't search to go become this. It's like the last thing I thought I would do with my life. I did grow up. My father was very intuitive, and we had clothing and shoe stores, and it was like his party trick. He would fit people for shoes and tell them something like, "Oh, I see you play the piano," but he never sat me down and said, "You're going to be psychic." He just wanted me to go get a good sales job, and it really just came from trying to find myself. I really thought I was going to be a fashion designer, went to school for that, and everything I just want to find myself really spiritually. And everything I was doing, I thought was just going to help me in what I was doing in fashion. But this overtook everything, and this is where I ended up.
Okay, so when did you said you went to school for fashion?
I went to FITM here in Los Angeles.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And this didn't come to you till after school?
Yeah, I was, so I grew up, my mom would take me out of school and we'd go shopping at the mart, and I was making and selling clothes in my teens, and it just kind of was all planned out. And I went to design school, and at FITM you're doing like 2 years at once because you're doing the design stuff and then the normal college stuff. And I just felt so uncultured. And even though I was getting amazing grades, I ended up dropping out, and I needed culture that I wasn't getting. And I moved to San Francisco.
Okay.
And never having been there, it was so crazy when I think about it now. But obviously it was to find this place that I kind of call my psychic boot camp training. And what happened was I was never into haunted houses or anything like that, or even believed in that. But I moved into a house in Haight-Ashbury that was so crazy poltergeisty.
Oh my God.
And I moved right out, and a friend had said to me, why don't you go to this place to be sure that the energy didn't follow you? Mm-hmm. And I went there, and I again was just going to get a reading. I went back to get a healing, and I started taking classes there, and I spent about 6 years there. Learning how to develop this ability. And I really, I had to be tricked into using it.
Really? How so? What do you mean by that?
Well, we used to be, we'd take these classes and courses, and then they would have these fairs, and you would sit and give people readings, and I just would never open my mouth, and I had a teacher kind of trick me, and then once I did, I just never stopped.
Yeah.
I really resisted it for a long time. But now I get, there was probably something else going on, that there was no way I was not going to end up here.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So your dad was an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Our show, just to bring you up to speed, is our show is kind of to try to make people relate to you.
Okay.
Right? That are watching, that think maybe they can't do something, or they don't live in a place where they have opportunity or something like that, right?
Oh.
So that's why I'm asking you some of these questions. So, it's relatable of your dad was an entrepreneur, he did those party tricks you're saying, and
that's horrible to say because it's not, psychic ability isn't a party trick, but we all have intuitive abilities. We have this additional sense that we're born with, but we're just not raised in a society that gives us a lot of permission to use it.
Okay.
So kids will come in very psychic, and it gets kind of programmed out of them because adults start saying, "Oh, that's not what you're seeing," or so we really do have it. And what people don't realize is that our psychic ability, it's like a muscle, and so it's just like going to the gym. If you go to the gym every day, you can build these big muscles. And if you focus on developing your ability, you can absolutely become psychic. There's just a huge difference between, no one is checking anyone for their integrity when you join a gym, right? You
Right.
can build these great muscles and still end up being not a nice person.
Sure.
And the same thing kind of happens. It is happening in the psychic world. And that's really the difference is anyone can be a psychic or say they're a psychic, but it's really about what they're connected to, where these messages they're getting is coming from, and then also what they're using it for.
Okay.
So
All
you want
right.
to stay away from anyone or anything with a neon sign. That usually is someone who has developed that ability to clear out your bank account versus helping you be on your spiritual path.
Tip number one.
Tip number
Right
one.
there. That's great. So you studied in San Francisco.
Yep.
And you said about 6 years.
Yep.
And then you said you were kind of tricked into
Yes.
this.
Opening
So-
my mouth.
Yeah,
and
opening
doing
your
it.
mouth and doing it. And then where did you go from there? Like, what was your path from, the trickery, if we will?
Yeah, well, we want to drop the trickery word. So I had started a clothing company that very
Oh.
quickly got, was very kind of over the top and doing all kinds of shows in San Francisco and selling in boutiques up there and got written up like the San Francisco Chronicle called me a marketing queen. So like once again, everything was happening very fast. But I really like, because San Francisco, which I moved there before the whole .com, I was living there at a time before the .com boom thing was happening. It was still very much an artist. It was you were either a starving artist or super old money. I eventually ended up moving back to LA.
Oh, you did?
And
Okay.
and then when I was in LA, I was really walking around saying that there had to be something more than what I'd studied. Where I had studied was set up in a very technical way versus like a real spiritual or loving way. And so I was really searching for something else, which I ended up finding in Los Angeles. And,
great.
and so, yeah, once I got back to Los Angeles and I still had to go get a normal job. So it was really fun. I opened and worked at the House of Blues.
Oh, you did?
And then, which was really fun and crazy at that time.
Nice.
It was like at a time where in LA, if you wanted to go out, there was like one place to go, right? And everyone was in that foundation room at the House
Yeah,
of
that was the
Blues.
place to be.
Yeah.
I remember that foundation
So
room.
every night was just, oh my God, it was
So
craziness
fun.
and really fun. But, and I was reading on the side, but when you live in Los Angeles or Hollywood and you're good at what you do, then celebrities start coming and I got hired for all kinds of parties. And then that finally, just eventually, it became bigger than everything else, and I got to just do that full time and make a
It's
living.
amazing.
Yeah,
I saw some of that on your website.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if you want to talk about any of it specifically, but you can find all these details or a lot of these details also on her website.
Yes.
Yeah. At,
There is a
Psychic
lot
Garden.
on that website.
It's
so
mind-blowing for me.
It's
I was
new.
like-
It's mind blowing for me. I recently just had the biggest gift. Just if anyone can relate to this, it's really unheard of. My host of 25 years. The server had some catastrophic data issue and they lost everything of mine of 25 years. Not only my entire website, every piece of mail because it was on the POP server. And so, of course, it was so devastating, right?
Yeah.
But I just picked everything up and built that new website. And the technology now is finally there where I was able to put everything, I'm blown away by my site and how much I've done and how much proof and evidence there is and all these, it was just finally a way to make it, I'm excited about it. It's I'm blown away by everything on there.
You're able to do so many things. Like what I learned.
I'm not just in one little niche.
No.
I'm just really good at what I do. It's really the difference between, there are people that really focus on, or their gift is mediumship, which is bringing through messages from your loved ones, because you want to have to know that a psychic is genuine. You want one of three things to be present. There is a way to tell. So it's about inspiring the truth seeker, healing the sick, or really proving that life after death exists. And you want one of those three things to be present. And pretty much that's all we've really seen on TV before. But I have, which I can absolutely look at someone that's passed over, but I really am more like this transformationalist, where I can just look at anything on an energetic level and turn around and describe how it affects you in your physical world. And then also help you to release the energy around that so you can get a different lasting change in your life.
Oh my God, that's
so
amazing.
I can look at people or pets or property or anything. I help, there's like any area I can focus on.
This is the most fun conversation I've had. And we just started.
I'm super excited.
Yeah, this is so fun.
Yeah.
It is
It's
fun.
so fun. I saw on your website. Sorry, I keep referring
That's
to that.
okay.
But I saw on your
Okay, proud
website,
of my
Madison Hildebrand,
Yeah.
and I'm very hopeful that Madison will come on our show as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was, yeah, we shot an episode of $1 Million Listing.
Yeah.
And I hated what the producers had me do.
Oh,
It
no.
was so cheesy. It was him and Josh Altman. And thank gosh, they did not air what they filmed,
Oh, they
because
didn't.
it was so cheesy.
Yeah.
But he was so lovely and beautiful. And then I'm sure you saw, I've done some other stuff recently with some other people from $1 Million Listing
Yeah,
that
yeah,
were
yeah.
really kind to help shoot like a different show I'm doing. They shot some stuff
So
around.
exciting. It's so exciting. Madison went to Pepperdine,
Yes.
and George and I also went to Pepperdine.
Oh.
So there's a lot of Pepperdine connections for us.
Well, why
that,
would he
you know,
not come on?
I think it's all about timing, right?
Yeah.
I think I'm hopeful that he will. It's just, everyone's busy.
Yeah,
And that's
he's
why
a
we're
good
so
guy.
thankful you're here. I guess, I have. Can I ask you a question
You
to start
can.
it off?
That's how it works. Ask away.
You're nervous, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I'm just really excited because
Yeah, there's really nothing to be nervous about,
Yeah.
because I can't see anything, again, all this is about inspiring you and healing you. So it's never about predicting gloom and doom. If anyone were to give you information that sounds so much like gloom and doom, that is not how this works. And that's someone who's trying to control you. And
Right.
so I'd actually lose my abilities if that's all I did was predict gloom and doom.
Gotcha. Well, I'm glad that.
Yeah.
I'm glad. So I guess I probably have silly questions, and if they're silly, just let me know.
I'm
But
good with,
I think that
anything.
the first question I would have is about this podcast,
Okay, great.
right?
What do you want to know about it?
I think we're like 15 weeks in, so
Okay.
we're a baby podcast, super small, but like I said, luckily for the viewers, we've had decent success, right? I would call it.
yeah, we're
Yeah.
getting traction.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, I guess what comes to you as far as the future of this
Yeah.
podcast and where it might go, or do we stick with it, or do we pull the plug, or
Are you considering pulling the plug?
absolutely
Never.
not?
Okay, so why would you ask that then? So it really works. So look, it seems very normal to go to a psychic and be like, what's in the future, right?
Sure.
But really, so some people use like tarot cards, or Nostradamus used a plate of water to read. Your specific question is really the form of divination I use. So when you ask that question, then I start to get information. And so how you asked it is great, but it's kind of fluffy and all over the place, where you can really say, do we focus on A or B? Or, you can ask about someone very specifically by saying their name and asking a question about them, or you really can get some very specific business stuff. But what I don't, from right away when you start talking about this, which I have no idea why I'm seeing this, but there's this trucker energy. And I don't know if you guys end up, first of all, this seems to me to be morphing into something more than just what this podcast is. It seems to me to be able to morph into something that is reality based, more than just being on YouTube. Looks like a reality show here. And somehow this trucking truck stop, or these trucks, I don't know why this is here, but I'm being shown that, so I don't know if there's any
All right.
tie to that for you or someone who's coming on. I don't know what that means, but ask me something more specific. I would definitely keep doing this. This feels like it has longevity, and it feels to me like there's just like these 8 different dreams. I just wouldn't be surprised if you end up producing other people's web podcasts. There's that energy here.
Wow.
Yeah, we've had a bit of that. People approach us because of what we've built here.
Yeah.
I
mean,
and his background as well.
Quite a few
by
people actually.
August, there's like 8 different things here by August.
Well, I will say, everything you just said is in the works.
Okay, great.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
because of his background as well.
That's wild.
Yeah, in production, and there's other people. I mean, when you build something like this, everybody's like, "Well, can you potentially make that for me?" And
It feels really solid.
Yeah. So we've definitely talked to a lot of people about these kinds of setups and trying to help them further, like whether they have like a social media presence or not, and how to like further that into a podcast or more similar to this. So that's definitely all in the works.
Maybe this truck thing is like someone who's gonna come to you, and maybe it's a podcast for truckers or something. But those, look, the more it becomes, like. A long time ago on YouTube, one of like the most profitable things on YouTube was this woman who taught horses how to dance, and was it's like the more niche
I
you
remember
get,
this actually.
Yeah, it's like the more you so get into the most teeny pinpoint of what your market is, boom, it's this big gigantic
Oh my
thing.
gosh, I do remember that lady. I saw her like teaching those horses to
Yeah,
dance as
she
well.
was like doing amazing. So anyway, we'll see
All
what
right.
this trucking thing is.
Yeah. Maybe it's the beards. Who knows? But
I don't know. Trucker hat.
I would switch gears.
Okay.
And I've been waiting for this for so long because I wanted to ask these 2 questions. So I asked the one. Now I really have another one.
Okay.
So I have where I live, right? Gore Hills, California. I have what I think could be an energy in the house.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is I have a 2-year-old daughter.
Uh-huh.
And we have, like, at the most random times and weird times, like, we have this little play area of like all kids do, right? So we have this play area, and the toys engage in their own things. And what I mean by that is whether they make noises, and I've changed the batteries to fresh batteries because I thought, oh, the batteries are going dead. Nope, not the case, right? And a lot of times it's when the lights go out. So the lights will go out, and like at random times in the evening, at night, you'll hear not 1, not 2, multiple toys doing things. Now,
I mean, you're telling this to someone who I told you the story. I moved into a house. Look, it's when we die, we're still very much alive. We just lose our physical body, right?
Okay.
And so sometimes when people pass, they get a bit earthbound. This is why homes and cemeteries are haunted. It is a spirit that is stuck, and it could actually have had something happen to that specific location.
Mm-hmm.
It could be an energy that just wandered there and said, this is great, I'm going to hang out here and I like this. So I know it seems scary, but it really comes down to this very simple cause and effect that, we don't die, we're still alive, and then people sometimes don't know they're dead. There's so many different things. So this can be cleaned up, because people, a lot of times they'll be like, oh, there's a ghost in my house, but I really like it. And we really, like, nothing that's stuck, is a good situation. We really want to help these energies move on, because they could stay that way for hundreds and hundreds of years, and kind of all time and space disappears. So they don't even realize or recognize what is happening. But just as there are people that have integrity and don't have integrity, or good or bad people in the physical world, just because you die doesn't change that again. So
how can I ask whatever that is who it is?
I mean, it looks like it's a child spirit.
I think it's a child spirit.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if it was my dad.
No, it doesn't. So say your dad's first and last name. Didn't look like it. As soon as you start asking about it, it looks like
Michael Hoferth.
Either the people. Do you know who lived in the house before you? By the way,
It's the original owners. I know that they were the original owners.
So
they had owned the house the whole time, I believe.
They could have lost a child, or it's not even, it could be like the ground before the house was even built there. We don't know, right?
Gotcha.
But so your dad, say his first and last name.
Michael Hoferth,
And how did he pass?
heart attack,
Yeah. Not your dad.
young.
So your dad is really in the space of resting and recovering, and again, there's so many different things that happen. Sometimes people get a little stuck. Other times they don't. Your dad is really in this space of like resting and recovering, kind of being in this very deep sleep. It's also why people will say, I don't feel my father. He's passed, and I would have thought I would have felt him in some way, but I don't really feel him. So sometimes, he just imagine him being in like this very, very deep sleep where he's kind of going, just really resting and recovering is what's going on with him. And he is aware right now, it's like you're just in this deep, 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 deep sleep and kind of being aware that, oh, someone I love is asking about me or thinking about me, but he's just so in that deep sleep that he's not ready to wake up yet. So that's where I see him. And again, we have this awareness of time, but he doesn't. And he'll take as long as he needs. He's not ready to wake up yet.
So he's in peace.
He is in, you could say peace. He's just really in this very deep sleep,
I gotcha. All right,
resting
cool.
and recovering. This spirit in the house is not anyone that you know.
Okay.
It's connected to the house. It really feels to me like whoever the couple was before that they lost a child. And I could help you clean this up if you
Well, I saw that. I saw that on the
want.
website,
But-
which we might do.
look, there's so many places, talking about House of Blues,
Yeah.
that place was crazy haunted. All these places along Sunset Boulevard but there was so much phenomena that would happen in that foundation room every night. And there were like fires and there's so much crazy stuff happening in that
Well,
place.
it's in Hollywood. The
Yeah,
heart. The
but
heart.
that whole
so much history there.
Comedy store, and you saw my
Viper
Cypress Sunset
Room,
Marquee
yeah.
stuff I did,
Yeah.
like all of that. I don't think that this energy is like gonna hurt or harm you guys, but you want it to move
on. Now, Sunset Marquee. You mentioned Sunset Marquee.
Yeah.
Now, what did you do there? What exactly did you
Oh
do?
my
Can you
God.
tell us?
I have such a lifelong history with that place.
It's such a cool place, by the way.
It is.
It's one of my
first
favorites.
roommate in Los Angeles worked at the
No
front
way.
bar. Randy Gruber owned it.
I love that place.
Okay.
That
And,
used to be my
when they
hangout.
used to wear the cout suits.
Yeah.
And I have such a history with that place. But when I first was, do you know Kelly Catrone arranged for me to do? She's like a big fashion PR person. At the time, she was doing PR for the hotel, and she arranged for me to do. What happened is, the villas are. This is probably so not interesting to everyone, but I don't know. Maybe
It's okay.
So the hotel used to just have this big open space of the land they owned that butted up against Sunset and La Cienega. That was like drug dealers hanging out there. It was just like it wasn't built to what it was, and they had me kind of do this clearing before they went and did that space. And so we invited all these reporters, and we made like this cocktail party out of it where we had cocktails and food and all these. I mean, it was so cool. It was like really cool magazines and the LA Times and people from China. It was just amazing. And everyone asked questions and I answered them. And everyone went home and had crazy phenomena follow them home that night,
really?
where their lights were going off and on
God.
and stuff was. But really, I learned like it wasn't a great idea to have alcohol because, they don't call alcohol spirits by accident, and you kind of open yourself up. It just made it very easy for everyone there to have all this stuff happen. So we did it again for the
you did it
Travel
twice?
Channel. We did it twice. And, but after the first time we did it, that was on a Friday. And by Monday, Kelly was calling me and they had found everything I had told them. They had found all this evidence. People had done letters. Like it was wild. So that happened. And then years later, Fox News, before it turned into what it is right now, did a story where they went back with me and Rod, the manager of the hotel, and he told these stories in the news. And I wish I could get the clip. It was before, it was before being able to so easily get news clips. but he was telling the story of what happened to all these employees.
Well,
and
I think that's in one of the videos, is it not?
I have that Travel Channel is there, but
Okay.
he did a
Gotcha.
Fox
He did
News
another
story
one.
where he was talking about 10 years later what had happened,
Oh.
how it positively affected employees and the
Wow.
space.
Oh,
and,
you going in and doing your thing.
yeah, so here
Okay.
it was like 10
Yeah.
years later, and he was telling the story of what had happened 10 years before.
'Cause, like, on the
And
travel-
he hadn't told me.
Oh
about
yeah,
it.
no,
So
I was just gonna say
like,
on the
what?
travel, so people can follow along if they don't go to your website on the travel. He I think it was him, right?
Yeah,
that
he
was
was in the
talking
story.
about there were certain rooms they had to go in threes because they wouldn't go in by themselves.
Yeah, the housekeepers.
The housekeepers, yeah.
Would have like you're talking about happening in your home, but they
Yeah.
would actually see there was like a ghost, a man that was living
Appear
in that
and
villa.
then turn around and be gone.
Yeah.
And then
But who, if you were a ghost, who would
doors
wanna live
would
at
lock,
the
like
Sunset
all kinds
Marquee
of,
forever?
I would. I would love to. I love the bar there and it's just so cool.
Yeah.
But all right, well there you go. I know you have a question. I told you you had to come up with some
Well,
questions.
yeah, I think we were talking about it when you arrived, but what's the disparity between clientele that is extremely religious and that may come to you and people that are not at all?
Yeah.
Because does it conflict with
Well,
their beliefs? And I don't know.
So I'm going to put this into words. Look, we have no proof and evidence of anyone following someone around with a tape recorder when the Torah or the Bible was written, right? It's like really every religion that has been brought to the planet, man's consciousness has changed to have power over other people. But, how did, these teachings or what is in there was supposed to be brought through someone prophesizing them anyway, but yet, so they're really... I used to really think there was a difference between religion and spirituality, but your spirituality is really whatever you believe to be true, right? So it really, the people that find me everything's about your relationship with yourself, right? And so, and when you get a reading, it really is you're getting your own answers. So if you're not in a good relationship with yourself, you probably wouldn't come get a reading from me, where it wouldn't go really well.
Interesting.
But so I don't have, I know that people think that this is like working with the devil or the dark, everything I do is about healing and helping other people and how, people are going to have crazy beliefs. You can't do anything about, I don't try to change anyone's belief. You're just going to believe what you believe until you have something prove that otherwise. But I believe that your religion becomes what your spiritual beliefs are. And those that only comes from what you experience in your life.
Sure. So
If that answers that.
no, it does. It does. But I guess there's a second part.
Sure.
Like if somebody that is extremely Christian or Catholic or Mormon, whatever religion they are,
Yeah.
do those folks actually come to you to get a reading as well, or do they believe they can just take whatever they're asking to God and then maybe get an answer? Right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a great question. I don't really have like the numbers behind that. I mean, I think that throughout time, people will be like, "Oh, this is supposed to be bad that I'm getting a psychic religion or psychic reading
Right.
because their religion says it's bad."
Yeah.
But I just also think in your energy you attract what your clientele is. So.
Right.
And I think we are in this Aquarian age where people are much more open, especially at least in California, to spirituality.
It's a good market,
we're
yeah.
in this age of Aquarius, even though I read people all over the world. So I would say I don't really deal with a lot
Right.
of that, and I've been so lucky to have such a great track record that I don't get, people questioning. I've never really had to deal with a lot of that.
Okay, cool. And no, thank you for answering that. But I also had, I have 3 dogs.
Okay.
And what is the relationship between, animals and their owners, and specifically mine? They just seem to be like these. Obviously, they're protectors of the family. They heal the family. They
Aw.
entertain the family.
Well, I have to look at them individually,
Yeah.
but they have spirits,
Yeah.
and a lot of times animals kind of reincarnate into your life, whether they've been in your life in this one or past. But,
Right.
so so when you say like, okay, I have 3 dogs, I don't start to look yet, but you might want me to look at one of your pets, and you can ask a question, and I'll try to answer it for you.
Cool. Yeah, I think
I don't know if you guys-
like a photo.
I don't even need a photo. Like, you can just say your dog's name and ask a question.
Well,
I don't know if you saw, like, I do a lot of work of helping pets with problems get over their
What
problems.
about well, we've got I'll ask you about Riley first.
Okay,
It's
what
an
do you want to know?
Australian Shepherd.
Okay. And you don't have to tell me a story. You can just say, I want to know, get a question about Riley that you want to know.
Oh God, what is the dog's purpose in our life?
Yeah. So, good question. This is where I get in trouble because I'll always be like, that's a great question, when I'm really nice about saying, not everything has a purpose. Things are karmic, right? So let's say that you have, if you believe in past lives, which, it's kind of crazy if people don't believe in past lives at this point, but there's a reason why you feel more for a certain person or more for a certain pet, or why they call it that cat distribution system, is because you have these karmic connections with people and animals that you've known before in the past, right? So even though it might seem accidental, or just that you met this person, but it's really just energetically you're drawn to each other because you have unfinished business, or you have a karmic connection. But this dog specifically really is like looking up to you and is tied to you. Like, he really just and also, like, he really is just looking at you and goes by what you say. He just loves you so much, and he is looking at you for, like, whatever he's understanding when you communicate
Treats?
to him.
Lots of treats.
It's more than treats.
Leadership, probably.
It's more than treats.
Yeah.
And it's more than treats, and he just seems like he's so present. Like, his eyes are so, this is a very sweet dog.
Yeah, it's a good dog.
Yeah.
Very, yeah. I would say that's very accurate.
But you might have something more specific that you want to ask about him.
It's weird. Well, I can tell you about the golden retriever, and this is going to sound very weird.
Okay.
The golden retriever seems like on a similar path as my mother.
Okay.
Which is no, seriously. Like, when the dog looks at me, it's almost like I can see my mom's eyes.
Yeah.
And my mom's still alive.
Yeah.
But she's starting to have some signs of Alzheimer's, and so is the dog. The dog is kind of, and they're on like this a similar path, and I'm like, why am I even bringing this up?
Yeah,
especially on air. But it's weird. It's like they're on this.
But our animals really, they are healers, and they do. It's just like when you're in a relationship with someone, it's like as a couple, how couples start to look like each other. And sometimes it's not, though, because everything is energetic, and energy effects matter. So as a couple, you'll start, you're sharing your aura, you'll start to look like each other. But pets really do become these sponges that absolutely are healers. And now, a lot of times people will be like, I want to be a cat in my next life. We don't go backwards. We only go forward. So you don't go.
Meaning what?
Like, we, as spirits, we start as mineral, then we jump into plant, and then we go into animal, and now we're in human, and we're trying to master. So you don't like have a life as a human, and then in your next life you go be a dog. We're only going forward.
So you said from human to mastering being a human.
Yeah, we're trying to break the big goal.
Wow.
Is to eventually break the cycle of coming back over and over again, right? You've had these hundreds and hundreds of past lives, and at some point you want to graduate and move on, like Buddha and Jesus and these greatest minds of the universe. That's what we're really trying to do.
You're trying to perfect.
We are trying to perfect our soul.
And that's also in Buddhism, correct?
Sure. But I mean, that is your spiritual path, is to perfect your soul so that you can master. That's what you're here doing.
So it sounds like we got to do this a few times.
Some people have to do it a few more times than others.
Yeah, I mean, it is not easy. But so, you can really tell pets their consciousness, because some pets are just like, and other pets, like, you're like communicating with them, or they're so conscious. Mm-hmm. So, I do think that your dog has such a love for your mother, and is absorbing and healing, and I can see sadness in this dog that you've asked about, like really absorbing. But it's also being a buffer for you because like this is tough for you.
Yeah. But it's interesting because I don't know why they're on this like linear path. It's very bizarre, but
It's not. It's just
yeah.
karmic connections, right? You guys, there's no way you haven't known each other before, and
Right.
you've done this before, and so
I've had a lot of golden retrievers.
I'm going to take it back. I want to know
Yeah.
more about you.
okay.
Yes.
While you've told us all this great information about George's dog, which I'm a dog lover, but I've been sitting here thinking, like, what, from your perspective, has been your most fun or greatest, I'm going to call it a reveal, which is probably the worst thing to say, but like, I saw that you predicted the Emmy top 5 and then the winner.
Yeah.
And then I saw you predict, I saw all these things. What has been your favorite over the years?
I don't know that I have a favorite. I think, I don't go into these things knowing this is what's going to happen. It's like, as anyone who's trying to climb the ladder of their career, how else? I think I've put myself out there for some very big things to prove that psychic ability is real. How else do we prove that it's real other than going and doing something extraordinary to get these extraordinary measures to prove? So I've done things where I've been like, okay, I've agreed to do it. I literally, when I did that thing where they gave me the 80 names and
Yeah.
said, pick the 5 that are going to be nominated, I did it. And then I literally was hiding in my bed going, what the fuck have I done? Like they asked me to go on Deal or No Deal, and
really?
I was 2 seconds away from doing it. And in the last moment, I was like, if I go do this and I don't pick the $1 million, my career is over, right?
Right,
So, and I forever have been like, man, did I mess up by like not going on? Because I've seen when I show up and do something, I'm able to predict this stuff and have a pretty good track record.
I saw it.
So I'm like,
Yeah.
this forever will be this like, man, should I have done it? And some other psychic went on and won like $90,000 or something. But so I think that just some of these predictions, like also that that X Factor UK, like
I was
the
gonna ask
Daily
you about
Mail,
that one. That was pretty
really
wild.
truly wanted to set me up to look bad.
I saw that.
And he actually ended up apologizing, the man that wrote the story.
Good
And
for
he
him.
was writing a follow-up story. And then it was whatever was happening in the UK, there was like crazy chaos where all these stores, it got bumped. The story got bumped and it never ran.
Never ran.
They were going to run this story saying he was going to eat crow and all that.
Oh, wow.
So,
So what did you do, just for the viewers? What did you do in that instance?
what did I do? I mean,
Yeah. No. What I mean is the UK thing that's on your website.
Oh yeah, where I predicted the winning judge of the X Factor UK before the season ever started.
Yep.
And then before the finale, I had picked the winner in
Yeah.
a different magazine.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And you
But
nailed it both times.
Yeah, it's not easy to do that stuff because I'm emotionally attached to getting it right, and anything I'm emotionally attached to, I'm not neutral to. So I'm always blown away when I'm able to do something like that. But the biggest thing that makes me happy is just other people finding healing. That's what makes me the happiest.
That's amazing. I saw that you picked genders.
Yeah,
You picked genders.
the
You
Britney Spears
for Britney Spears
sex.
one, and you're on Power 106, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Picking
I've helped
genders.
a lot of people with pregnancy issues and getting, they're just across the board. I mean, there isn't a topic I can't look at and kind of help change the energy around. But what people most don't understand, it still has to do with you. Like you've got to be in that place. Like you're creating Finding Me that can help you, and it's still about you.
So we haven't touched, I don't think, on like your specialties. All the specialties, you do a plethora of stuff.
Yeah.
So what exactly are those things that you can do?
Well, I
just
mean,
so
I think
people know to
I've
reach out to you.
been saying that. But I mean, I'm really
Yeah.
known for helping people get over heartbreak
Heartbreak.
quickly. Yeah, I help people kind of, what people don't understand is that our lives are this big sum up of everything we've been through, all of our past lives, what you've been through this life, even your family genetic stuff. So your life becomes this closet that's just filled to the brim, and there's no room to bring in anything new. And in each session I walk people through kind of clearing that out and getting rid of what they don't need anymore so that you have new space to create from. And it's really like changing patterning. Everything that we experience, if it's not rainbows and butterflies, is trauma, and trauma makes us freeze. And so our goal is really to get as free as possible by healing and releasing trauma. So that, I think, is like the number one thing I'm known for and can do.
It's also some career stuff. You help people with careers and money.
So it really is any topic. It's not just one.
Any of them.
Yeah.
Is there one you like to talk about more, or like to tune into more, or is it really the heartbreak? Or
it is. I just love helping people get what they want. That's what makes me happy, and whether that is getting over, a past relationship they can't let go of. Nobody really teaches us how to let go. And I do feel very lucky that I feel like in this very long time of 35 years that I've been doing this is I have kind of developed this technique that helps people let go by not using their mind, because the answers are not in our mind. Our answers are, our problems are energetic, and everyone's running around trying to find these logical and mental answers to things when it's not in your mind, or you would have found that answer when you've gone there hundreds of times before. It's really energetic.
Got it. Yeah. I mean, I think I'm going to put myself out there, but I feel like I can, I'm big into meditation.
That's
so
great.
Meditating and deeply meditating. Like, I feel like whatever it's worth, and I never studied or read about meditation, but at an early age in, say, high school, I used to meditate before sporting events, right?
Wow.
And I feel like for me, I felt like I could get my mindset into a very calm state to see and visualize really well.
Yeah.
For whatever that's worth. So I feel like I can feel energy. So like, for instance, the one that comes to mind is like when I went to Austin. I was doing a show in Austin, and we were at a pretty old hotel. I can't remember what the hotel name was, but I felt like as soon as I walked in the room, I felt like there were spirits in there. And all I did, I don't know why, and I think someone told me this once. You're looking at me like I'm crazy.
Pretty much, no, I've just never heard the story.
But what I do to mentally deal with that, if I do feel something like that, because it's more than that, the one time I'm telling you about, I will sit quietly in the room, and I will address them, and I will tell them I'm not here to stay. I'm just passing through, because then that helps me cope with it. I hear you laughing.
No, I'm not. No, I'm just.
Yeah. Well,
Is that effective?
look, and meditation is wonderful.
Yeah.
But you want to be sure that you're not using meditation like drinking or doing drugs, right?
No,
There are
no,
people
no.
that like use meditation to like escape their life. Your meditation is really about where are you taking it, right?
Right.
So that's great. Like you're communicating with spirit, but you have the ability to, you don't have to be so nice. The strongest energy wins. So you really can more say, you can go into meditation and tell them like, look, get out of my space, stay out of my space. I won't mess with you. Don't mess with me. Or, there are tools that are psychic tools. You could actually help these poor spirits that are stuck, right? I didn't know we were going to go here, but all colors have a vibration.
Okay.
And so there is the color violet, which is very transformational, and the color white, which is very clearing. And when you visualize those two colors together and imagine whoever these spirits are being kind of wrapped and bathed in that energy, it can actually help free them so that they can take their next step. And anyone can do this.
So like violet and
white. It's
white.
actually called the white fire and the violet flame. And you can see it like fireplace flames, just as white and violet. And you can actually use that tool to transform any bad situation. Like if you've had a fight with someone and they're kind of like sending you some energy that's not so nice, or you're concerned or worry about a situation. And again, if you're driving by a cemetery, like all these poor people that are stuck around their bodies that, I didn't know we were going to go here.
I like it. Are you comfortable doing this?
I'm fine.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
And look, who talks about this stuff? And so anyone listening to this, like you too, can just imagine using those two colors or using those two tools to, if you're feeling depressed or anxious or sad, to like I try to tell people to imagine wrapping themselves up in a big pink warm furry blanket, or you can use that tool. But that is, the next time you experience that is because look, think of all, like, not only are there whatever spirits that are attached to, say, that hotel from the beginning of time, then every single person who's ever come there and stayed in a room there and whatever they've brought with them, and if something decided to stay, or so that's really the greatest thing that you could do to help yourself, to help humanity, to help these spirits move on.
So they can stick with you and they can travel. Because you mentioned that earlier.
They can. I mean, look, we can be born with stuff. We can pick up stuff. We can, they, like I said, they don't call alcohol spirits by accident. When we, how vulnerable you are in your physical world is really how you're going to be energetically and spiritually. So, when people say are addicts and they drink and they black out and bad stuff happens, like, they're really nowhere near their body. It's this energy that's kind of feeding off their life force and taking over. And so, yeah.
I love that. I love this. This is so cool.
Yeah.
I'm like so focused on you telling me so I don't forget anything, even though I can
got
know.
it recorded.
That's what I was just going to say. I know I can record it and go back, but I'm like, my eyes are piercing. I'm like, I got to remember everything.
You're going to know me after today. So
It's so cool. I guess, where are you going, or where are you headed with your path at this point? Like, what is the overall objective? Is there one? Like, you said you were working, or you had done some more TV stuff?
Yeah, I mean, look, that's the goal. Is I have a couple shows that we're moving, and then we're all in this situation happening in Hollywood right now, and I think that's kind of the natural next step for me. Mm-hmm. Is that, and so that would be great if I end up there. I mean, I think it's like interesting. I've never done social media because I'm just so TV and not social media. So I've never like done TikTok or YouTube or any of those things. And maybe that has hurt me. I don't know. I'm just so TV. I'm a TV person.
You're a TV person.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just dabbling in this now too.
Yeah.
So, we're trying to branch out a little bit, simply a lot because of what's happening in TV, to be honest.
No one's watching TV. So you gotta go to where that next medium is, right? So I probably will end up doing something where the eyeballs are, because like nobody's watching
We're all
TV.
trying to gravitate wherever those eyeballs go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any more questions? You got some more stuff?
I've got like a ton, but
wow.
I think
take advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I think the viewers will maybe we start driving some more questions that could help the viewers too, and maybe like a certain situation, right? So, is everybody in this room everybody's had trauma, right? So you could go the traditional route where you can go to a therapist and go maybe get on some medication, whatever it may be, to curb this. But if somebody goes to you, right, is this something, hypothetically, let's say you got to go to 20 therapy sessions, like hypothetically, or if they can go to you and say, hey, let's just knock this out, and come with an open mind, and you using your expertise kind of help somebody through that, and then, like you said, more room in the closet. That was like a great analogy.
Well, people have said that a session with me is like 20 years of therapy. I'm just a big fan in whatever works. And so I think that there's, and everyone's in a different place, but I think the part about normal therapy is really hard. It's going over and over in your mind. And even if you do figure out with your mind what has happened or what the problem is, it doesn't help you release the energy out of your body, right? So we're still looking for how do we release the trauma. I'm like a big fan of work that's called somatic experience. There's this new incredible technology called the Therify that is unlike anything, that literally helps you lie between these two light bulbs and you release trauma out of every cell of your being. That's my obsession, is that technology. But even on my site, I recorded this healing that I do in every session. I honestly recorded it because I was so envious of what everyone was coming back to me with, these stories of creating new relationships and getting over stuff. And I was like, I need to record this so I will listen to it. And then ended up putting it on my site so people can download it and do it without having to have a session with me. But yeah, I think that why should people go to therapy for 20 years and you're still in the same spot trying to figure it out because the answer isn't in our mind.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
Wow. That's awesome. And I think if we're gonna have some fun here, if we were to go to Vegas, me and Mike, we have maybe $5,000, $10,000, and we're like,
I hope you're
Justine,
paying.
why don't you come with us? Where can we maximize at the craps table? Are we gonna play blackjack and then maybe I mean, I know that's a joke, but
well, look, it's not a joke. I did a Mark Burnett show where I gave, before I even went and filmed the show, the producers called and asked about every cast member. And by the time I got there, all the stuff had happened. Yeah. And then, for me, I like giving that information in readings versus like following someone around because, again, I'm emotionally attached if I'm there with them. One of the producers, this information I had given him, he was at the roulette table. And I was trying to pull him away because he had lost so much money. And he was like, no, I'm going to keep going. And he ended up winning, and I was trying to pull him away, but he stayed and won. And it was so amazing. Like this, they gave so many specifics more than just numbers that helped people with the winning. But again, it's like, if it was that easy, everyone could come to me and I could give them lottery numbers and they would win. So it's really about you.
Right.
And I think that some people have kind of like a winning energy in Vegas and other people don't. It's just so many different stories, so if you're really going and you wanted to ask a question around it, you could.
Right. No,
I don't think I wouldn't gamble a lot in Vegas if I were you.
Yeah, I'm not a gambler whatsoever.
Me neither.
No, I think that you could win money gambling in Vegas, but it's not about spending a lot. And for some reason, it's like a piece of paper. So whatever you would do, I don't know what it's called, but that where everyone sits down and there's like a big screen and I don't know what that is called.
I don't know what it's called, but I know what you're talking about.
Me.
I feel like it's bingo.
It's not bingo, but I also think I don't know if you go to Vegas for like sports games and
not really. I'm not a big Vegas guy.
So
I gambled one time when I was in my 20s at Uncasville, Connecticut, at the Mohegan Sun.
Oh gosh.
And
well, I don't doubt. I think that someone is gonna invite you to go to Vegas and watch a game with the other male friends that you would be there. And looks like that you would win something.
Yes, we're going.
There we go.
We need a sporting event, though.
Yeah, it's like a sporting event.
I'm going to book the ticket.
I love it.
But when it comes down to it, for me, I'm just like, that stuff is really hard, the numbers, because it's so much about you.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And there's so many energies that are set up to counter all of that. It's so hard when it's not just you and it's so much other energy that is affecting it.
Can you share with us the most common question you get?
The most common question? I mean, I think most people come to me for love and relationships.
Oh, for love.
Yeah.
Love, I mean, it makes sense.
People want to,
But love and that makes sense.
And you'd be surprised how many men come to me for readings, but I really try. It's really hard for me to do readings for people that just want me to predict, the future of their love life. I stay away from readings like that. Not that I can't. I have a great track record of calling future stuff, but it's more than yeah.
Can you tell me about me? Am I holding on to anything that I need to release or let go of?
Well, there's no way you're not, right? Because again, we're going to be healing ourselves to the last breath we take. But it would be different if you said, I'm trying to break this habit and I want to know. We'd have to. So I don't look at you.
I'm a workaholic.
I don't look at you and be like, oh my gosh, see all these bad things. It would be, if you're asking about you being a workaholic, I mean, I don't see it that way. I mean, I just see that you are really trying to get to a certain place in your life, and that I don't see that as a bad thing. I see it's like a choice of where you're putting your energy, and that you kind of feel like there's a place where you can go with this, and you're not there yet, and you're not going to stop until you're there. I mean, I do see at a certain point you are going to be able to turn around and be like, okay, I got there, and I could see how it forever, like the bar is raised, where you get caught up in that. But to me, it feels like you're trying to go somewhere and get something you haven't achieved yet. And I don't see that as being a workaholic. It's like your desire to get there.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Yeah. Yes, that wasn't a personal
No,
question.
no, no, no,
Oh,
no.
you mean about me?
you.
Okay,
About
yeah.
you.
I thought you meant
About you.
you. I'm like, wait.
No, no, no. And you don't have to answer, of course.
Okay.
But as you're, however you're doing what you do,
Yeah.
right? I see that you're really staring off, or like in focused. You look very focused.
Yeah.
Is that channeling the?
Yeah, so I don't, channel is really where you kind of allow a whole other energy to come in and take over your consciousness. That's not a good idea. There's lots of people that channel and say they're channeling these, a lot of times it's their second personality or it's an energy. So the goal is, like, I'm a clairvoyant, so I just have like this extra set of eyes that are able to read something in a way that you're not reading them. And so yeah, I mean, I'll look off because I'm really just trying to be able to take what I'm seeing and turn around and describe it in the most effective way that it doesn't change, right? Because it's all about how clear your pipe is. Right? It takes a lot to get information so clearly from your guides and teachers to give it to you in a way that nothing of my stuff is clouding it, so that you can truly hear it and get it and see it, so that it can help you. Versus,
I'm so intrigued being able to sit across from you and have the conversation and the eye contact that we have.
Okay.
And then when the question is asked,
that I look away.
you look away and you like
Yeah,
go.
I don't mean, I could also look at you. I
Really?
mean, I think, yeah,
Oh, okay.
I think it just is easier for,
Okay.
I don't know. It just is.
I don't know what
you've
it.
been doing something for 35 years. You're so
Oh, wow.
become unconscious to
Yeah.
like what you're doing. But really, psychic is communication. All psychic ability is communicating with spirit, and spirits are those that have passed over to the other side. But again, just because someone dies, it doesn't mean they can see everything or know everything. If you were mentally or emotionally ill here, you're not just going to magically lose that on the other side. And so if people don't understand, they might be working with a psychic, but we don't have any proof and evidence that that psychic is not communicating with some mentally or emotionally ill person who just wants your attention, right? So everything I do is about connecting into just the absolute highest and best, and not having it be so. Everything I do is trying to make it not be woo woo. There
of
is a
course.
science behind
Sure,
this, and I
sure,
think
sure.
most of this new agey world is so woo woo, and I'm so not that. So it's I'm different.
Well, I can connect with you or kind of like, for instance, and I think I said this on another interview that we had. I can see numbers,
Okay.
right? But I do what you do. Like if someone asks me something, I'll look off into space pretty intently, like really intense,
Okay.
and I'll be like, I think it's gonna be about $70,000, and then I look back just like I did.
Yeah.
Because I'll,
Well,
it's
you're
just
looking.
I'm
you're-
so like focused.
The answer isn't in. It's not coming. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you're just tuning in, but everything comes down to a number. But that's amazing that you're developed psychically that way.
Yeah, I don't know if it's. I don't
It's a
know.
good thing.
It's
It-
worked for me in my career.
Yeah, and I think he has a. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I mean, that's a beautiful thing.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, he also has. This was probably like 2004.
Okay.
I think I was driving. Or no, he was driving the box truck. This is a production truck, and I'm sitting there with his cell phone,
Okay.
and I was calling all of his contacts, and then we're talking like a Nokia. It's not a smartphone. And I'm like, who do you want me to call? And he would just rattle off a number. I'm like, and when he did it 2 or 3 times, I'm like, okay, he must know these people extremely well. Like I know maybe by heart right now a couple people's
Or
phone
have a
numbers.
photographic memory.
Right. Yeah, I'm getting there. And then all of a sudden, I get down the list, and it's like we've called like 40 people, and he just rattled off everybody's phone. And then he was like, invoices were in his head, and I'm going. And then like it didn't even dawn on me. And then the next day, I'm like, you get photographic memory? He's like, I don't know. Like it was just wasn't
That's
like
amazing.
Yeah, it was really bizarre.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's weird, but it's done me well in
That's a
my career.
gift.
In my career, it's done well, so
Yeah.
that's good. But
Weird.
I don't know. Like I'm just so intrigued with all of this,
Yeah,
and
it's
I
just
could go
like-
on forever. Like, is there anything else you would like to share, or we haven't shared? Is there anything that you'd want viewers to know about you? You
Oh
know,
my gosh.
I don't think
I
we
mean,
said
I-
your social handles. We said your website,
Yeah, I
but you
mean,
know,
really, the best way to find me is to go to psychicgirl.com. You can, you can find me to book. You can book a session with me. You can also just download that healing and read all kinds of stuff like
Nice.
the truth about finding your soulmate. There's all kinds of stuff on my
Yeah.
it's
website.
fantastic. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still am intrigued and fascinated. Like we started this conversation with what I read on your website. It's a really cool place to go and get a lot of information.
Well, we'll talk after. There's a place I'm going to send you where.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. The secret sauce.
Well,
Well,
can-
that's it for me.
Can we add like a couple?
Yes.
Are you okay? If you're not, like,
oh my
we
God,
can kill
ask
it.
away.
Okay, so deja vu.
Yeah.
That it happens like quite a bit with me where I show up to a store or I meet someone or I show up to a certain beach to go surfing and it's the same exact thing that happened. And I'm
Yeah.
like, and I don't get it. And then you just completely, it happens in a split second and then it's gone.
Yeah.
And you can't, like, what, can you, like, just, do you have any
Well,
kind of insight into that?
I mean, I do think that's the hardest thing to describe, but you know how I'm sure you've heard it said before how everything is happening at the same time. And so really that, you know, our past and our present are what make up our future. And if you can go back and heal something from the past, it affects what's happening now, it affects your future. To me, that deja vu it's a pattern. You're just so experiencing a pattern of what is very similar to something you've experienced before. And it might not be this life. So it's really, that's how I see deja vu.
Got it. That's a very good explanation because it's always confused me and then I just go, am I crazy? Like I've already done this. And it's not like a redundant habit
Yeah.
that I'm doing. This is something completely random.
But again, it's like that's why it comes down to energy or a pattern versus you going, wait, I've been here before, or, you know.
Okay, and my final question, I promise.
You're not bothering
And,
me. Ask away. Take advantage.
So if it's a certain person comes to you, and I've struggled with this in until recently, until we started this podcast, because this podcast is very much my passion. Passion is surfing, my podcast, my family, etc. But as far as like something we want to do, I came to him to do this, and he was like, "Let's do it." And he's just a cowboy. Like, you want to do something, let's do it. You come to Mike, and if somebody comes to you and they're, as so many people do, they're stuck in a career that maybe is really good money,
Yeah.
and they're not very happy, and then they come to you and say, "Hey, what am I supposed to be doing, kind of in this world, in this life?" Because I'm not happy right now, but I'm maybe not making good money. Maybe I am, but I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Like, can you nudge somebody potentially in the right direction?
Yeah, well, there isn't a supposed to. Everything comes down to choices. You have opportunity,
Yeah.
and I mean, I think along with relationships, I have helped a lot of people to go after and create their dream career situations, and it really just depends on how clear you are. There are people, say, that are incredibly stuck, and they're just, you know, you can see how it's going to take a lot. Sometimes I don't even see how they're going to get out of it, but then we do that healing and then something changes, you know, from what I hear back. Sometimes I don't hear back for years. But other times, man, like someone will sit down and they're so clear and they've done the work and their guides and teachers just describe everything A to Z of what to go do as far as starting a business or what they're going to be gifted in doing. And so that stuff is fun, if that describes it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You know, or I did a reading yesterday that was really fun, and this person, I didn't know what she did, but she worked on camera, which I could see so clearly, and she was supposed to be given a certain right. I don't want to give this away. So she was supposed to be given a part in a show, and in the last minute she didn't get it. It got given to someone else, and so obviously there's disappointment in that. But it was really wild. Before I even got to those questions and she told me that, her guides, which everyone wants to hear this, her guides and teachers were telling her, this isn't about you're almost there. It was like, you are here. Whatever is happening, you are here. It was really cool to see. And also, she had gone through a recent breakup, and I was able to really get her to see that had she tried to recreate that relationship or had that relationship stayed in her life, it would so negatively affect her from her career. I mean, that can happen. You can get in a relationship with someone and they can so negatively affect you where you have a health issue or it affects your prosperity. It's very easy to be negatively affected by the energy of other people.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting because I've, even to be able to tap into your intuition, your sixth sense, where it happened to me one time when I was surfing. I was surfing up north, and I didn't eat anything before I went surfing. I never do, just to keep an empty stomach. And all of a sudden, I got really sick to my stomach, and I'm surfing all by myself. It's up north, a little sharky, and I'm like, I'm gonna go in. So I paddled in. And then I look back, and my buddy's like, "Oh my God, look at that!" And this beautiful wave came in, and there was just like this huge, 8-foot black. It wasn't a dolphin. It probably was a shark, but it was almost like, looking back, I felt like maybe I was being hunted, and I was like time to get out of the water. And I'm not saying I can't confirm nor deny what was happening, but something was wrong because right when I got on the beach, the stomach ache was gone, and I was like, was that me? And then that leads me to my other question. It's like when you get chills running up and down up your neck when something's wrong, or you hear a good story. Like, what is that? Is that energy just going?
Exactly. Everything is energy, right? So you are sensing and feeling what's happening energetically versus having to have this logical explanation with your mind.
Well, it protects you. Your intuition protects you.
You have a good relationship with yourself, so you're able. I mean, not everyone could feel or experience what you're talking about.
I get the chills all the time.
Yeah. You've got a relationship with yourself where you're okay and tuned in to having something like that happen. But there are other people that are just so disconnected from themselves that they wouldn't even know what you're talking about.
But yeah, so I tell that story to some people. Are like, yeah, right, like you're crazy. But I feel like, I know special forces, Navy SEALs, they talk about if they feel like they shouldn't go in the room, they just don't go in, or they can feel if something's going to go wrong and they just go, okay, let's maybe go left instead of that way. I don't know.
Trust your gut.
Exactly. I mean, I'm sure you do it in business, right? Where you're
you have to.
But so many people in business, so many people don't pay attention to that, right? And even though every part of them is saying caution or don't do that, they have their mind override their emotions or their sense or their feelings.
So you have to listen.
There's no rules. There's no
you don't have
but,
to.
The goal would be to, and still, again, if you're emotionally attached, how do you know what the right thing to do? It's all a learning lesson of understanding. Even for me, and doing this for 35 years, I think at this point, I mean, I'm not perfect or I wouldn't be here. I'm not a master yet, but I definitely have learned how certain things, and it's really all patterns, right? In the big picture of all this, it's like recognizing patterns, being able to read what those patterns are or how things go to get what you want.
I love it.
That's it was amazing. This was an amazing conversation.
So
you gave us so much information, so much fun stuff, so much real stuff, so many things I'm going to think about.
I can keep going. I mean, you're awesome, by the way, because it's, with somebody with what you do is you help so many people with, if you're able to heal trauma and help, I mean, what else is there?
Exactly.
Because yes, you can coach someone on a relationship, which is extremely important. But what's more important than all this baggage that everybody has? Mike's got it. I've got it. You've got it. Everybody.
We wouldn't be here, but I do in the end. I mean, look, I'm a really, really good psychic with a great track record of calling the future. But in my mind, I'm a healer first, right?
That's
healer,
because we all just want to. It's just how do we get free so we can get what we want and be happy, and then also move forward. Like that is the goal, which, most people don't understand. They're very much caught up in just that physical desire of wanting what they want right now and not
Sure.
knowing that this is about taking it somewhere. So,
And it's more rewarding, right? When you heal somebody versus like forecasting something that somebody asked you. You know what I mean?
that's
Like
fun
it's
too. When like when, especially like when I've given readings to men that were asking about career or financial or situations, because I'm really great at investments. But
Oh, interesting.
That'll be episode 2
Yeah.
with Jusstine K.
But it is it's really interesting when like a man is so fighting what I'm telling them about certain relationships business wise, and then they look back 6 months later, 8 months later, and everything that we're resisting that is how it played out. That's always
I love that.
interesting.
Is that
That
ego,
is.
you think? Is that ego where
I
they
think
still
it's just us wanting what we want and
Yeah.
not wanting to hear the truth about something.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like the truth.
Yeah, people do not like the truth.
No.
And most people want to be told what to do, and that is, I think, really the difference of really truly understanding what the psychic stuff is about. It's not kosher for me to tell you what to do, but I can absolutely go to town describing people, what they're going to do, the possibilities, what could happen, or I can. It's just so much more than telling you what to do.
The truth hurts sometimes.
Well,
It's you
this
get
planet is the insane asylum of the universe, and it is very much dark and light. That's what gives us free will. But most people just want to live in, the fantasy part of it.
Of
'Cause
course.
it's too painful.
and social media, in my opinion, isn't helping that.
Yeah.
It's all the fantasy. It's so much fantasy out there.
Yeah, I don't
In my
I don't-
opinion, again, that's my opinion, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, from Goop to Glamour,
Yeah.
Jusstine K, thank you so much for
Thank
being
you
here.
for having me. It was really fun.
And again, check her out. Check out her website. Check out her social.
Yep. Everything's at psychicgirl.com.
Hit her up. Have her heal you.
I'll just help you heal yourself.
Have her help what she said. Exactly. Well, thanks again. And I think that's a wrap, man.
That's it. Thank you so much. That's a wrap.
Oh, man, that was good.